What's up, everybody? Welcome back to episode 17 of the podcast. Road to Ironman with JG3 Fitness. It is just Jay and Lex today. Jason was feeling tired and had some, he was here earlier to pick up some flyers, and he just was tired and wanted to go home and sleep.
I feel it. I was
But
most
having
of
a screwed up work schedule like he does, I don't blame him. But anyway, and then Carrie had to work, and I don't remember. Kyle is busy, and so on. So this is going to be a condensed version. Sorry, both my kids are sick from this weekend, and we decided to have Debbie go home instead of coaching tonight so we could do the podcast. So this one might be a little shorter than we've been going lately, but we have some fun stuff to cover on the podcast. First of all, I'm going to publicly call myself out just like I told you I would. Ego is the enemy. So when you sit here and you repeatedly for 17 weeks or 16 weeks say how easy a 3-hour half marathon run will be for people in our condition, and then you don't do a 3-hour half marathon, I feel like you should call yourself out. So the difference between arrogance and confidence is knowledge, and I was an arrogant fuck for saying that. Because
I was also an arrogant fuck for saying, yeah, you're probably right.
But anyway, so Lex and I are going to recap. We did a full 70.3. We actually ended up going over. Not the run, because fuck the run.
No, the run was dead on.
The run we stopped right at 13-point run. But we both overshot. I mean, it wasn't a big overshoot, but we made sure to leave no doubt. The swim, let's start out with the swim. The swim was
awesome.
The swim was awesome. First of all, when you show up at East Harbor State Park at 7:30 in the morning, there's not a lot of people there.
There was no one there.
There were a couple dogs.
Oh yeah, there were a couple dogs.
There were a couple dogs. It was still, you definitely had the jitters of knowing, as much as you try to talk to yourself and say, don't think about the next, I try not to even think about the next half of the event that we're on. Instantly you're going, it's going to be a long day.
Yeah.
I had kind of made peace with it, and I forgot to tell you this, and I think that was the first positive of the day, is when I looked at you and said, hey, we're together for this. We're just staying together the whole day. And your face immediately went from complete terror to, okay. And then another cool thing before we actually got to the swim, our little puppy Stella decided, Lex was out probably about waist deep, would you say?
Yeah.
And my little 5-month lab decided she wanted to run out and swim, and I was like knee deep. So she's like, I got this shit. And she went to swim past me and saw Lex, and I think Lex saw fear in the dog's eye.
I saw actual fear. I've never seen fear in a dog's eyes, but she was doing this, and all of a sudden her eyes got big, and she just turned around and was like, oh, done.
Yeah, she realized how deep the water was. So we got to start out on a very positive note because of that. That made us laugh. We were able to see Lisa and Debbie and both my kids. If you know anything about me, you know if I'm going to do something, my family is going to be there. That's very important to me. Even though they might not be there the whole time, they're going to be as close as possible. That way, as soon as I'm done, I can enjoy that. But so we had Lisa down at the beach, we had Debbie and the kids down, the dog was down, and we just kind of walked out and
literally just said, all right, let's do this.
I said, all right, let's do this, and then went for a swim. And there's not much to say when you're talking about open water swim. It was I had a little different experience than Lex, because I was able to sight pretty well this time. So I was pleasantly surprised by the swim, not in terms of speed, but more in terms of
straight lines.
Being able to gauge where I was going, which is going to save you a lot of extra expenditure on the event. But I was very pumped up when I got back to shore, and I was kind of screwing around when I was coming in. I was playing with the dog, and when I saw you turn in and I looked at my watch and realized we were right at 50 minutes, I got pretty pumped up because I knew that was your biggest concern, and it was like, all right, cool. And then we hit the first negative of the day.
Which was with my bike, God bless it, my transportation ways may need a little bit of improvement. So
Yeah, we're gonna throw it in the back of a truck.
yeah, that's probably better. But had to figure out some adjustments with the handlebars and the bike tire and go get a pump, and so it took a little longer than expected, but I was glad to kind of get that out of the way at the beginning, just to be like, oh, that's a bad thing that can happen. I should probably watch out for that in the future and not do that ever again. So I mean, we started off, it was a much longer transition than expected, but I still think it was a learning experience. And
I realized during that period that how far I've come with bike maintenance, because I think I was the one that realized, hey, you got to deflate your tire to get it back on.
yeah.
And you were like, oh yeah.
I knew it, but I wasn't like properly thinking. So that was a good experience to be like, oh shit. Yeah.
Well, and I think the biggest lesson I learned there is when it's not your bike, you're a little bit more calm with the situation. I'm like, oh, if I just stay calm, I know this shit pretty fucking well. But so the only problem that happened there for me was in paying attention to what you were doing. I got my hydration drink in, which we both drank from CR Juices. Christina made us up a little JG3 hydration drink, and I got that in, but I forgot to eat. That's my big eating point, is after the swim before the bike, and I did not. I think that I paid for that later on in the day, but we're not going to get too far ahead of ourselves. So we finally got set. Few jokes with my wife, because she said, fuck you guys, I'm going garage sailing. And I was like, just remember to answer your phone if something happens.
And then she said, no, tell Lisa.
And she said, tell Lisa. And we laughed, and we kind of pushed off on what I don't know that I could have done that bike, and I'm not even talking distance wise, 5 months ago.
No,
like just
absolutely
comfort with my bike and traffic and shit. Like
absolutely not.
Just people are on 163, that Lakeside Marblehead loop. There's just a lot of traffic, and you have to be paying it. It made it to where you were like
tense the whole time.
Yeah, you were looking around like, do I have time to eat this now, or can I take a drink of water right now? Because even the slightest swerve, I'm getting hit by something. So that was different, but the scenery, holy shit, the scenery was very fucking cool.
Yeah. The lighthouse was sweet. Just seeing the lake, something different. It's not a cornfield, was pretty nice.
And then the fucking hills.
Yeah.
And the hills just, I don't think it was the hill by itself. It was the hill plus 30 mile an hour winds. It was just constant. The whole.
If it wasn't one, if it wasn't the other, and if it wasn't just one of them, it was both of them at the same time.
And then you'll read it when I share my blog will come out before this does, but my blog will come out tomorrow. It's Monday. This comes out Wednesday. But as I put in the blog, thank fucking God it wasn't hot.
Except it was.
Except that was the other issue, is about mile 30 in, you realize that was the first time I think I let creep in how hot it was.
Yeah.
Like I tried to subconsciously not think about the heat. Yeah. And I remember we did, because the original plan was just do 2 loops back to back and then figure it out. And I remember we passed our turnoff for the second loop, and I didn't even say anything to you until we got off of it. I went, I needed to get away from chaos for a little bit. And so we were doing a loop on the East Harbor Causeway up by the beach, and I think that was the first time it even entered my mind that, holy shit, we're 23 miles in and it is hot. Yeah.
Which you have a heat index over 100, you got people everywhere, you got all those other factors, and it can turn negative pretty quick. And I think,
I don't know this, I'm not scientific in this matter, but vehicles going by you that are very hot, blowing extra hot air on you, probably didn't help as much. But anyway, it was the first loop was still very positive. Halfway through the second loop is when I was like, oh no. And we just hit a point there where it was uphill, no shade whatsoever, wind directly in your face for a good 30 minutes straight.
Oh, at least.
And it was just,
It was like a will, like a power of will at that point. You're just like, can your legs, can you please just keep going?
Yeah.
If I don't keep going, I'm going to stop.
Yeah. And it was just,
Like,
it was brutal to the point where normally when I get off the bike, I'm just like, whatever, let's go run. And usually I start to feel bad in the middle of the run somewhere. And 46 miles in, we got back and we were ad-libbing it, and we weren't even talking. Like, I was taking turns and stuff to direct us and wasn't even telling you that we were going to turn because I felt like that was a waste of energy. Like,
and then I crashed, and then you told me about it. We were not talking very much we were together, but we weren't talking. No.
And then we got back, overshot the bike by just, I think it was like 0.1, 0.2, whatever it was. It wasn't a long overshoot. Got back. And this is where simulation versus actual race are going to make a huge difference. Having to get off your bike, refill up water bottles, get prepped for the run instead of having a prep bag for you in the transition area. And I actually think I'm going to go buy 2 more of those water bottles, or 1 more of those water bottles to have pre-prep for the run. And I know you don't need it. I just like to have.
I do too.
So I'm going to have at least 1 water bottle with me. But the big thing for me was we walked into an air-conditioned camper to fill up and get our water bottles, and I fucked up and ate, and we came out, and I would say we did probably a 10-minute transition, roughly, and kind of chit-chatted a little bit, just basically said
That hurt.
that I don't think we even admitted that. I don't remember even talking about it, but I remember we looked at each other and I said, "Can we assume 4 minutes walk or run, 1 minute walk right out of the gate?"
Yeah.
And you said, "Yep." And I truly don't remember the first loop at all. Like, I remember running, and I was so inside my own head that at how bad my stomach hurt.
Yeah, I was in my own head of, oh my god, I'm gonna throw up.
Yeah, right off the bat, my stomach hurt. We did reapply sunscreen. Hindsight, I think we had some kind of heat, exhaustion, poisoning, something, because your stomach was just so miserable. And I think both of us were trying to fake it so bad for the other one that it's like every time you said something, I'm like, this bitch is in better shape than I am. I'm in fucking trouble. And I'm like, and in the back of my mind, you know, and this is probably gonna sound mean, and I don't mean it to sound cocky or arrogant, but I'm sitting here going, I averaged most of my bike rides 16.8 to 17.2. We just backed that way down. I should be feeling great, and I feel like fucking hell. So I'm like, man, and I just remember we ran, and we kind of just talked about, you know, what the game plan was. I do remember one conversation we had. We were getting closer to the camper, which ended up being a 3.5 mile loop. And I remember telling you, don't fucking pause your watch. That's cheating.
Yeah, I did.
Because I'm like, if we're going to do this, we have to, this counts. This is like stopping on the side of the road and not moving.
Right.
But we're still on the clock. So we need to try and do this as quickly as possible, but don't.
Our watches did not stop during the bike. Our watches did not stop during
the run. Yeah, everything. We kept it running. And it's not to take a shot at anybody that does that. It was your own, it's for your own mentality. Yeah. We're already talking about, I don't remember much of the first 3.5 mile run. And if you don't remember that, you go back and you just look at the data and you go, oh damn, I did, you know, let's say we're talking about this 3 weeks later and you're looking at your thing and you go, oh damn, it wasn't that bad. My half marathon was 2 hours and 45 minutes, even though I sat in the camper for 5 minutes or 10 minutes or whatever.
Right.
I mean, in reality, we didn't run an over 3. We sat, and we didn't really sit. We were stationary for a long time, refilling water bottles and things like that. So we come out for lap number 2, and we were still trying to fake it at this point. I think we switched to like 3-minute run, 2-minute walk.
At one point we did. I don't remember when that was.
I don't remember when it was, but I remember if you go back and look at the
I'm
splits,
looking right now.
I think we were still.
Our first 3 miles were in the 11, all faster than 11:30, 11:01, 11:15, 11:25.
I think of
15:05.
well, that was mile 4, but that's
when we stopped.
that's when we stopped to get water. What was mile 5?
Mile 5 was 12.
Yeah, see,
32,
we ran the majority
and
of
then
that.
6 was 14:30, then 7 was 14:46, then 8 was 21:10.
Yeah, 7 to 8 is when we had our long transition in the camper.
That's
But
right.
it was towards the end of 6 that I started to get a little bit more with it, because we were about to turn back towards the campground when we were on one of our walking periods, and I looked at you and I said something along the lines of, I don't know that I can do this, but I know I'm stubborn. And you just mumbled something along the lines of, you're too stubborn to fucking quit, so I know you're just talking shit.
Yeah.
And in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, I know what you're saying is true,
Yeah.
but I want to quit so bad.
Yeah.
I wanted to quit very badly.
I was like, man, can I throw up so that I can quit?
And then I said, well, let's run it back to the camper. We ran
Yeah.
back to the camper.
Which was miserable.
And then we filled up, and I pulled out this water bottle out of the freezer that was nice and frozen, and it was so good. And then we walked outside, and then Stella was cute. And then we walked outside, and I think I took 3 steps, and I looked at you, and I started to swerve to puke.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh no.
Yeah.
And I don't even remember. I think that
You said, I'm actually going to throw up, hold on. And then you said, just kidding. And then we just kept walking,
Yeah.
and then we didn't say a word.
I think I said, just kidding, let's walk, or something along
Yeah.
those lines. And we just started walking. And then we walked a long time after that. It was like, I think I said, I don't know how to get my stomach to calm down. And I was actually starting to panic that something was wrong at that point.
Yeah.
But I had just used the bathroom in the camper, and I knew I wasn't dehydrated. I knew I
Yeah.
didn't have anything going on, because I was like, everything's fine. Everything
He
checks
looked
out.
at his pee, guys.
I did. I looked at my piss, and it was clear as fuck. And I was like, how is it clear? But anyway, I think that's when we started, subconsciously, that's when it started to turn positive for us, because we both realized we had got so far ahead of the time cap, we could literally walk.
Mm-hmm.
And then it became, well, I'm just going to keep walking. And
I'm moving.
And then I started joking around that the song that's been stuck in my head for the last 2 weeks has been All Time Low, Something's Gotta Give. And I kept saying over and over, something's gotta give, like my stomach has to stop hurting at some point, or I'm going to fucking puke.
Yeah.
And then I'd sing the song a little bit in my head. And I think we had conversations without ever talking. And eventually I'm like, well, let's try running the next 4 minutes, and we got like 45 seconds, and I'm like, never mind, that ain't gonna work.
No, that felt terrible.
And then I think it turned quicker than you said in your blog. It was mile 10 it started to turn quicker. I think it turned about mile 9.
Well, because that's what I remember. I
Yeah.
remember when we were trying to figure out when we were going to get to mile 10, because then we had a 10K or a 5K left, and you were
Yeah.
like, let's try running at the 5K mark or something.
I don't remember ever fucking saying
Oh,
that.
you know.
But it's possible. It's possible, because
I don't think people realize, like, when we say we don't remember, I literally do not remember.
No, I remember.
Like, I'm not trying to be over dramatic, but I think I was so dead in my brain that
I remember Christina hanging out of a truck telling us to go. I remember some dude pulling up to us on a golf cart and saying something like, you guys have been doing this a long time.
Why'd you stop running?
Yeah, why'd you stop running?
And
You're
I
doing
wanted to
good
look
or
at
something
him,
like that. And I was like, what the
I'm gonna hit you. Why'd I stop running? It's fucking hot. That's why I stopped running.
And then I remember, because mile 9, probably why I remember that, is that's when I finally caved and unzipped my triathlon shirt the whole way and started spraying ice cold water down. And that was the first time my stomach was like, ooh, I'm okay now.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay. And then it became an obsession. Every
Yeah.
like fucking 3 minutes, I was like, all right, I need to pour water down.
Yeah.
But it was just, that's also when I realized Jason had texted us
Yep.
or somewhere around there was when Jason had texted us, just keep going.
Yeah.
That was all it was. But mile 9, the reason I remember that is because that was the point when, that was the last text I was able to send before my phone overheated. And I text Debbie, we have 4 miles to go. We want to end at the beach so we can go in the water to cool off. And she said, okay, you're still under the time cap or something like that. And I was like, yeah, we are. And I'm like, all right, if we just go out 2 miles, spin around and come back.
Because she said 4 miles is nothing. And I wanted it in my head. I was like, Debbie, 4 miles is everything right now.
Yeah, I don't remember what I said to her, but I remember thinking in my head, 4 miles is nothing, but I've been in hell for like eight, you know.
Oh,
like,
it was longer than 8.
But at one point we did get to a point where we could run like 2 minutes walk, and then it just became a game of
little goals at a time.
Little goals. And then when you couldn't get the little goals, it became, well, let's talk about like my ego with the 3 hour. And I literally started playing through in my head how I was going to say on the podcast how fucking stupid I was.
Yeah.
And then you find this little chuckle.
Yeah.
And then you're like, okay. And then
talk about our tattoos.
And then I'm like, that tattoo is going to be the most earned tattoo I have. And then what really got to me anyway, and I don't remember what mile we were at, but this is when we actually ran for a while. I looked at you and I said, these are the moments where you realize it's not me and you. I said, Lisa's been here the whole time. Debbie's been here the whole time. Cassandra and Corey are on their way up. The Pemberton family, which is ultimately why I started doing this. Every encouraging text message we've ever gotten, everybody covering the gym. You remember you're not fighting on your own, and that kind of gave you the strength that, you know, hey, Scott England believes in you, that you're going to do this. And every Fort Ball, we might sound like we're joking about it, but Fort Ball Pizza and the owners of them are really important people to us. And
the most genuine.
Yeah, and then, you know, Christina was up there waiting for us to finish and had, I don't think you knew this, she had juices in her thing in case, like, she had...
Did she really?
She had electric blue, all the stuff that would help you get rid of whatever, just in case we needed it, because we ended up mixing it with alcohol later that night.
You know.
But how many people cared enough to care about our journey? And that's when it was like, fuck it, we can keep moving. Like, it would be real fucking easy to quit at this point. And I think I looked at you at one point, and this was way earlier on. I said, I think this is where most people quit. Because you have this thought in your head that running should look like this, or biking should look like this, or whatever it is, and you become physically or mentally unable to maintain that.
Right.
So you quit because your ego says you're not doing it. And trust me, I had probably the most humbling experience I've had in 6 years on Saturday. And I'm oddly proud of myself, because it would have been easier to quit and just say I didn't have it that day than to fucking learn the lesson that I learned, which is if shit hits the fan in 2 weeks at Ironman, I can fucking walk. And they're still going to hand me a medal.
That's the whole point.
And I'm still going to be able to go to Joe's gravesite and put it on his fucking headstone. And that's ultimately why we do this. And that realization was so fucking powerful that I do remember the last 5K.
Oh, I do.
Because we had a pep in our step again, and it was hurting. I was cramping in weird spots in my arm.
Laughing about the fact that we were hurting.
But we were laughing, and I told a joke about, your feet literally hurt so bad, and I was telling the joke about James Lawrence from the book Iron Cowboy, where he had saddle sores so bad, and he's like, you get oddly negative, but it makes you positive. And like, we started just telling stories about just dumb stuff.
Ran a minute, walked a minute, just to get it over with.
Yeah, and then I stopped to fill my water bottle with more water because I kept dumping it down. And I had walked more while getting the water bottles at the camper, so I was like 0.03 ahead of you. So you were like walking a loop trying to catch up.
I tried to like do this weird shuffle run in the parking lot.
So it became
a game.
It just became a game, and the odd thing is, internally you finish and you want to scream and you want to celebrate, and I think we gave the laziest high five and.
I took my shoes off. I took my socks off. Sand is in everything.
Yeah, and I just walked and plopped into the lake, and that's when Christina said she knew how fucked up I was, because she goes, I love to fuck with Christina, and she was standing in ankle deep water, perfectly vulnerable to be just dunked, and she goes, I like grazed by her and just fell in the water, and she was like, oh no.
Oh yes.
And we laid there for a minute. Debbie got the picture of us, asked us how it went, and dad mode kicked in for me, because I think you could tell better than I would. I got maybe a minute before Skylin realized I was there, and then she came up and started squirting me with a water gun, and then I had to pull my shit together and started playing with them with water guns, and that's when you realize it's been amazing. The whole journey has been filled with so many highs and lows, but ultimately I was able to do everything I said I was going to do. I didn't sacrifice family time. I did exactly what I said I was going to do, and I'm still very hopeful that was going to be the hardest thing we did, because now we got 2 weeks of rather easy shit.
Tapering is great.
Tapering's fun.
Tapering's amazing.
Tapering's fun.
Doing less is great, because it actually helps you do better.
Yeah, so I'm hoping that not going into it sore as hell, not going into it mentally exhausted, is going to be the big key for us in the actual Ironman. I'm really, it's amazing how a month goes from we hope that they have Ironman to I hope it's not fucking this hot.
Yeah.
Because it will be rough to deal with that heat again. But I guess if there's any one takeaway from the weekend for me, I'm not going to be able to limit it to one. So I'm going to give you 2 takeaways from the weekend for me, and then we can do 2 from you. Okay. One for me, the biggest one that I have, don't be cocky with anything. Respect what the fuck you're doing. Nothing's easy. There's a reason it's called Iron Man or Iron Woman. Respect it. If you go into it thinking it's going to be easy, you will get knocked down. Any workout you do, I don't care if a 5K is easy and somebody else says they're doing a 5K, respect that person doing a 5K. And if you think it's going to be easy and you go to a 5K, I guarantee it's going to be harder than you think. Because you're either going to have to go slower to make it easy and keep your ego inflated, or you're going to push it and you realize anything hurts if you push it to your exact level. So respect what the fuck you're doing. And the number 2 thing, when the shit hits the fan, your support group is what is going to get you through it. And I truly believe that it's not just nothing in this world you do by yourself. Nothing. So your support group and how you treat others is so important, because every message of support that you get, every share of our blog, everybody, just any positive thing they say about you is 100% how you get through the tough shit. And if you don't have that, you're going to quit.
Absolutely.
So those are my 2 big takeaways from the weekend.
My biggest one is that screw it, like regardless of what happens in 2 weeks, I did it already. So something happens horrible, like my bike breaks or some other weird thing happens, like, all right, well, guess what? I did it already, and I did it under the time caps. I
have a Garmin app that's going to show I did 70.3 twice. Or it's going to say I did it once, and the shit hit the fan, and fuck it.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it is what it is. That was one of my big fears at the beginning, was not finishing, and now I'm like, well, shit, I already did it, so if that's the worst that it is, then that's the worst that it is, and who cares?
Corey, I I'm not trying to interrupt, but Corey Lunsford said something before he left today that's very similar to what you just said, which is the power of knowing going in. There's no doubt anymore. I wrote this program, and I think if we go back and listen to the first podcast, I said I was going to write a program where there was zero doubt.
Yep.
You were going to finish our program, and you were going to know you could do 70.3. There's no doubt.
Nope. And that's...
It was fucking hard. Don't make no mistake about it. Knowing you can do it doesn't mean it's going to be easy.
Awful and like awesome at the same time. But and then I guess the other thing is like what you said with your support group, like having people be invested in it, like who aren't physically doing it, have been doing this with us this whole time. And I know I've mentioned that before, but
like Janetta sharing your blog
like
with the coolest fucking...
She's the best. And like just that, and you know, with the Englands and with Lisa being there that morning, and she was so funny. She was like, I wanted to make sure I had my sight on you the whole time because of all like the stuff that's gone down. So she literally watched me swim for 52 minutes at 7 something in the morning, and like I don't think you can ask for better people than those who have been supportive of us this whole time and just respecting that process and all that good stuff.
Yeah, it's insane.
Respect the process, like you said.
It's insane when you seriously... I wish I remembered more of it. I mean, even the bad shit.
Yeah.
I can tell you, I told Lex at one point, I've not felt this low since 2013. And it was during my marathon. And I promised myself if I ever got to that point again, I would react differently to it. And I did, because in 2013, I threw a temper tantrum. I almost broke my watch. And I did keep moving, but it was not
what you thought was
I had that. I wasn't going at a 10-minute mile or 11-minute mile, so I was failing. And this time I laughed. Yeah, it hurt, but it's how you react to the problem that growth comes.
I just, I'm laughing right now because if you think back to the Glass City half, I fucking cried.
Yeah.
I was crying at mile 10.
Yeah.
I didn't cry or panic this whole time.
Which you had more reason to this time.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
I would just, let's compound that with, we did a half marathon that day.
Yeah.
In an hour and 59 minutes.
Well, yeah.
And we did this one in, what was it, 3:15?
3:13 or something.
Something like that.
Yeah.
But I did want to say one thing about that 3:13. I would part of me, even though I wouldn't have done it, would like to have tracked how long we stayed in the camper and did dumb little detours to fill up water bottles or things like that. Because I bet you on the course in the same exact scenarios with water stations, ice stations, all that, we were probably right at 3 hours.
Probably. Hindsight, but you know what? I'm cool with the 3:13.
But the whole point was no time cap.
Yep.
Do the full distances in the same day. Feel what it feels like.
I think mine overall was like 7:45.
Was it?
Something like that.
Then mine was the 12 minutes faster.
Yeah,
14 minutes faster on the
swim.
On the swim. Last thing I'm gonna touch base on before we wrap this up. Big positive coming out of it is also going to be not having me right there with you, or you right there with me, and being able to run your own race. Now that you have the confidence to do it, understanding just how bad that run got because we altered this shit, and knowing we had more time, being able to control your normal situation will probably go a lot further in Ironman. You're going to be fresher.
Right.
And then you throw in the fact that you're not going to be going, all right, we're trying to stay within a certain range of each other.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying it affected us adversely, but we gave each other the blueprint to finish.
Yeah.
which is great. But now we don't have to worry about that. So going in fully confident, there's no doubt in your mind you can do it. And then you don't have to worry about anybody but yourself. That could be the recipe to it being a more enjoyable experience the second time through. So, anyway, huge shout out to, I'm going to add one to the list today. Trey Chamberlain Roofing has been, he's a newer member at the gym. He's been very supportive of the Joe P event, and I just want to give him a shout out because that's what legacy is. Like when you leave an impact, Joe's legacy is so strong, and the Pemberton family means so much to myself and Debbie and my kids that we're now impacting people that had never met Joe, and they want to support that.
Yep.
And that to me is amazing, and that shows the type of person that Trey, the owner of Chamberlain Roofing, is. So check them out if you have any roofing needs, because supporting someone you never knew in a family you didn't know is just the ultimate act of kindness, in my opinion. CR Juices, again, Christina has, this is year 2 of her basically handling all my stupid fucking ideas.
Yep.
And just handing me stuff, and I just don't question it, and I just drink it and say, I trust that it's going to be okay. So shout out to CR Juices. I crushed me some 4-ball pizza on Sunday.
Oh, you did?
I did. It was amazing. Fold over pizza with bacon.
See, you have the nastiest stuff on it, though.
No, bacon, mushroom, banana peppers, and green olives, and it was fucking amazing. I ate the whole thing by myself. And then about 7 cinnamon rolls.
Ooh, cinnamon rolls.
Because I lost 5 pounds.
I wish I would have checked, because I burned like 4,000 calories.
I don't know. That was it yesterday or this morning? I don't remember. Either yesterday or this morning I weighed myself. So this was after eating all that shit. I was still only down 5 pounds. So I was probably down a lot more before that. So
shout out to getting Jay's weight back up.
Yeah.
Good job, Scott.
Thanks, Scott. Bulking season's coming soon. Bulking season at JG3 Fitness. But anyway, don't forget, August 17th, sneaking up on us. We're just about a month away from our big event.
I was talking to my friend about it today. She's pumped.
Awesome. Fundraiser for Joe Pemberton's daughters, who have truly become like family to us. Taylor was up there hanging out with us after the Ironman. So support in any way you can. We have a GoFundMe page. If you want to find that, just go to JG3 Fitness's Facebook page. It's on there. The link's on my personal Instagram page, JGlaspy3. Support in any way you can. Please sign up. You're only guaranteed a shirt through Thursday, whatever day the 17th is. I don't know.
I don't even know what to
But check that out. Please support that. And Lex, you got any plugs?
No, we already got them all.
She's sponsored by 4-Ball Pizza, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, very much.
So, anyway, this has been the Road to Ironman with JG3 Fitness, where I Can doesn't exist.
Boom.
Boom.